I'm so honoured to have the show writer Steve Worsley join us on the show today. So, firstly, welcome to the show, Steve, and thank you for finding some time today because, wow, it's the opening tonight. I'm sure there's a lot to do.
Thanks, Di. Yeah, you've hit it exactly right. There's loads to do. But the important work is done and everyone's excited and geared up. Looking forward to the show. We had a fantastic dress rehearsal just on Wednesday and everyone's really hyped and pumped for it. So looking forward to tonight.
Wow, the world premiere in New Zealand, and it's happening right here. So, before we get into anything, Steve, the musical is called 341, and I was trying to
Mm.
rack my head as to what this could mean. Could you give us an insight into the title?
Yeah, okay. So with our logo, you see there's like this cocktail with a little thermometer in it, and then the title 341, the climate musical, and all of that is a concept together. So the concept kind of gives you an idea of what there's a lot of Pacific color in it, as per the cocktail. That little thermometer is interesting, along with the climate musical, and so it's to do with climate change. And 341 is an important number that becomes a theme in the show. So what happens is you get to about scene three, and this woman walks in with a t-shirt on, and it says 3.41. And there's a bridal party who are staying at a resort and this, and they look across at this woman with a 3.4. And what? Who would make a shirt with 3.41 on it? What? And they start talking about what it could mean. And there's all kinds of crazy, and they have absolutely no idea. And that's one of the reveals of the show. So, so unfortunately, you've got to come to the show to find out.
Oh, so
But it becomes,
mysterious.
yeah, it's a very important theme.
Okay.
And once you get it, it kind of locks in.
All right, all right. Well, there we go. The challenge is out there. Go see the show, everyone. Now, let's talk about the show. How did it sort of birth? How did you think, oh gosh, I'm going to write a show about climate change and I'm going to make it a musical? Because it's not necessarily something you'd pair together.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of ways I could explain it, but if I speak as a pastor for a moment, because most of my working life I've been a Baptist church minister, and when I first went to Bible college back in the late 90s, I was kind of only been a Christian for a few years at that stage, and I did in the theology course they talked about our responsibility as Christians to care for the earth. Now, I had never come across that before. I didn't know that much about Christianity at that point, and I thought, wow, okay, so Christians have this responsibility to treat the earth well because it belongs to God. And I thought, wow. And then, as the decades rolled on, we hear more and more about the climate crisis and more now about how it's particularly affecting minority groups. It's described by a climate scientist I talked to recently as a threat multiplier. So you look at all the poor parts of the world, many of which are unfortunately low-lying, and when they're affected by extreme weather, it just multiplies the threat. So if the poor were in trouble before, they are all the more now because of the changes to weather patterns that we've seen recently.
Mm.
And so just to give you one example, back at Bible college when I was learning about this, so there's all these places, particularly in the Old Testament, and also in the New, where if you imagine like a triangle, God, people, and land. So a triangle with each of those, God at the top, maybe people on one end and land on the other. And there's this kind of, for the Hebrews of the Old Testament, there was this keeping in balance those three things. And there's a lot of verses that relate to those three things together. For example, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear their cry and I will heal their land. And so, heal their land. You see, like so again, you've got God, you've got the people, and you've got land, and something's out of balance. It's just like that. That the three are not right together. And many other examples I could give, but I guess the thing is, there's a lot of us today that sense that things are just out of balance. We're just not right, and the way we're living, with the way we're treating God's creation, just doesn't feel right, and people are starting to get really hurt. And so, I've made friends with a lot of people from Kiribati and Tuvalu. If listeners don't know of those two island nations, they're just a couple of hours north of Fiji. So they're Pacific Island neighbours of ours in New Zealand, and they're going to have to abandon their islands because they're very low lying, and many have abandoned them already because sea level rise gradually creeps up, and as it does, just gradually, extreme weather situations make things worse. the king tides that affect them there are now making everything's just a little bit worse, and it just becomes impossible to continue to live there. And so many folk from those countries now have come to live in New Zealand. But why should you have to abandon your home? And what are all the emotions that wrap around that? It's huge.
So I
So
guess these are the things that you're exploring, huh, in this musical.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's not just a show for us. That's the thing. Like the show, we put everything into it, and we think it's
Mm,
loads of fun, but also with a serious meaning. But it's more than a show. It sort of comes out of a heart that says things are just not right environmentally. We want to be part of a movement that turns us around, that doesn't just let our Pacific Island neighbours suffer like that and walk on by.
mm.
We want to do something about it. So it's the show is like one part of that wider kaupapa, if you like.
I am hearing your heart for this, Steve. I really am. So thank you so much for sharing it. Now, I mean, you've been working on this for a while now. It's been a journey. I remember hearing about this, I don't know what, a year or so ago. Surely it's been a while now. So tell us about that journey. Have there been some challenges on the way? What are some of the highs and lows as you've put this one together?
But it's making a musical is just horrendously difficult.
I
It's
can't
like
imagine.
you could list 99 reasons why you shouldn't even try. Like it's almost like that everything in the world stands in the way of it being possible. And for me, that's the thing. I wouldn't commit so much in my life to just writing a show about something that's maybe fun and entertaining, but nothing more. Like for me, it's got to be something that really matters to us as people, really, something that people really, it's worth people's time to come out and think about. So that's what drives me and has driven us, the team. I've got a fantastic team, and of course the cast are pretty superb. And yeah, so there are a lot of things. I guess, like, to answer your question, one thing that was really hard was writing the ending.
Right.
Because if you go to
Okay.
any musical, right, there's a big number at the end. There's a great,
Right.
a
Mm,
rousing final chorus, right?
mm,
So you tell me, how do you write a rousing final chorus about climate change and its effect on the world's minorities?
mm.
It's really hard. So we had to think really hard there, and we rewrote the ending many, many times. We're really, really pleased with where we've got to now, because we feel like it needs to be realistic, but it also needs to be aspirational. And yeah, so you can see that. I think, hey, that's definitely
Mm.
been one of the challenges.
I was going to say, I hope you're not asking me to write the end of this musical. I wouldn't know where to go with it. So let's talk about, the audience. If someone's listening in today going, "Oh, look, I don't even go to musicals. I don't really go out even." Why should they go to yours? Why should they come along and see 341? How would you encourage them, I guess, is the best way to ask that.
Well, I'd say, like, it's really worth supporting live entertainment
Mm,
anyway,
mm,
because honestly, we sit in front of the TV, we sit in front of our computers, and we watch so much stuff. But like actually valuing and appreciating what's going on in your community, I think is part of being community. So I think that's worth it anyway. The person I was interviewed with last time on Rhema actually said there's evidence that shows you actually live longer if
is
you
that
go to the likes of
right?
musicals. And yeah,
Okay.
I don't know where she got that from, but I thought it was a great little factoid there. So I think that's part of it, but yeah, and probably a second thing, somebody in the cast likened this show to Hairspray. So I don't know if any of our listeners have watched Hairspray or musicals like it. Hairspray is loads of fun. It's kind of laugh out loud funny, but it also tackles a really serious topic. And so, where our show is kind of similar in those ways. So there's loads of entertainment, and we think, well, there'll be plenty to make you laugh, plenty of characters that are relatable, but it also raises a serious topic. And so that's that. But I guess a third reason would just be that I don't think there's anywhere at the moment. We see all these news reports every day about, the weather's changing like this and it's affecting this country
Mm,
like that and extreme blah, blah, blah. And we see all that. I don't know how people what do we do with that? Like,
mm,
what's going to happen? Where do we come together and think about that together and consider how we're going to respond together? And it seemed to me, as a pastor, as a community leader, as a theatre director, there's just nowhere that's offering the opportunity to come together around this, think about it together, and consider what a response might be. And so this show, I think it provides entertainment, all those things that you'd hope for in a musical. I reckon it does that, but it also provides that opportunity right now that I think is lacking in society. So I think it's really worth people's time to come out and have a look, whether you're into musicals or not. I reckon it's worth your time to come and just spend an evening with people, being shown the story and thinking about it together.
Steve, it's called 341. It kicks off tonight in Auckland. I guess the question now is, how do people head along? Where is it being shown? And how do they get tickets?
Yeah, so we've got this really great venue. It's in Pakuranga. It's Eastgate Christian Centre, which is a really great church with very modern tech, and it's just perfect for theatre there. So so Pakuranga, Eastgate Christian Centre. Our premiere is tonight at 7 p.m. You can get tickets through iTicket. So just Google iTicket and then just type in 341 and it'll take you straight there. So you can book tickets right up till opening time, even up to half an hour after opening time. And we have 6 performances. So we've got 2 more on Saturday, one Sunday 5:30, and then the following weekend, April 4th and 5th, Friday and Saturday night, we have our last 2 shows.
Are you going to take it nationwide, Steve? Because, there'll be people listening going, it's just Auckland. Is this something you could do elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but with any musical theatre, with any production, it survives one thing to the next on the basis of the response to the first one.
Okay.
And so we want to win people over and say, wow, this is a fantastic musical. If you haven't seen it, you've got to see it. And that's our goal for our season 1 of it. And then, if we're getting that kind of response, then it enables those sort of possibilities to tour and take it further, go to bigger venues, etc.
Steve, let's see how it goes, eh? Who knows? Nationwide, then the world.
That's the one.
That's the one. Have a wonderful first night tonight. All the best. And if you do want to check it out, it is called 341, The Climate Musical. Thanks again for being a part of the show, Steve.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us on Rhema. Now, if you found value in today's content, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel with the subscribe button. This really helps us to continue to produce more quality content for you. And hey, if you'd like to stay updated and never miss any of our future videos, ring that notification bell as well. Don't forget to follow us on our other socials, which are in the description below. And until then, stay tuned.